Good evening, students. Good evening, everyone. I hope clear. My name is Atengo Cecilia. I'm here to take you on a course, Primary Education 2. Last week we started and we looked at the development of primary education in Nigeria. We discussed the primary education in Nigeria between 1951 to 1970. We also look at the primary education in Western region and primary education in the Eastern region and also in the Northern region. We said that primary education, the development of primary education came during the missionary churches that came to Nigeria between 1842 and 1882. And they came first in Badagry and they established Western oriented education in Nigeria. The purpose why they arrived was to propagate the gospel of Jesus Christ in Nigeria. But they knew quite all right that without introduction of Western oriented education, they will never make us. They will never achieve their aim. So that was why they did the two of them at the same time. And this marked by 1952, this marked a tremendous establishment of schools in Nigeria. So today we are going to go into another topic, the development of primary education in Nigeria between 1960 and 1970. The development of primary education in Nigeria between 1960 to 1970. In our study last week, we were meant to understand that Sir Richard Constitution of 1945 divided the country into 3 regions. The Sir Richard Constitution of 1945 divided the country into 3 regions, the West, the East, and the North. This brought about the administration of schools by the region. So the region now took over the control and administration of primary school. So the regions took over the control and administration of their schools. This brought about the establishment of UPE in 1955. It brought about the establishment of UPE. UPE means Universal Primary Education in 1955 by the Western under the leadership of Chief Obafemi Awolowo, who happened to have an agenda. He was the leader of Action Group. So he have an agenda on the improvement and advancement of health and education in his region. So as he won that seat, the agenda he had in mind was to improve and advance health and education of his region. So that made the Western region to be the first to establish UPE, and this was established in 1955. So his political administration established free, universal, and compulsory education to the students within the region. So he made this UPE as free, universal, and compulsory education to the students within the region, that is Western region. As such, the eastern part of Nigeria followed their own steps. You know, this Richard Constitution divided the country into three regions: the West, the East, and the North. And this brought about tribalism. It brought about regionalism. So each region is meant to take charge of its education of its region. So as the Easterner saw that the Western has introduced UPE in their own region, they copied and they followed. So as such, the region part of Nigeria followed the steps. And in 1957, under the political leadership of Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, established their own UPE, that is Universal Primary Education, which was also free, universal, and compulsory education. The Easterner have their own UPE under the leadership of Nnamdi Azikiwe, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, in 1957. Remember, the Western 1955, the Eastern 1957. Then in the Northern region, the Northern they were not able to enter the race to establish UPE on time because of financial problems, and also because their political and religious leaders were not very careful to expose their children to modern educational system of that time. So they thought that free universal primary education didn't come across their mind at all. So it was very delayed in the northern part of Nigeria. Between 1947 and 1951, the northern region children enrollment increased from 66,000 to 205,769 children for primary school brackets. And this became a very concern for the nation. So in 1958, the northern government decided to plan for primary education on the provincial basis, no more on the regional, but provincial basis, and was also seeking for qualified teachers to take the responsibilities. Unlike in the Western and the Eastern, they didn't seek for any qualified teachers. They just set up UPE, Universal Basic Education. But the Northerners took time to seek for qualified teachers to take the responsibility of teaching. So in 1961, the new Education Authority was recommended in the northern part of Nigeria. The new education authorities were recommended in the northern part of Nigeria. So with the development of primary education at regional level during 1952 to 1960, there was a great need in the nation to harmonize the primary education to foster unity in educational sector. Now the Nigeria want to make it universal, that is one, the same in the whole country, no more regional, not southern, western region, eastern region, northern region. They now decided to come together and have national universal primary education. So in 1976, under the military government, universal primary education was introduced for the whole federation. The universal primary education was introduced for the whole federation, that is Nigeria. That was 1976. I hope you are following. The universal primary education subtopic, the universal primary education, UPE. The universal primary education, UPE. What is the meaning of universal primary education? UPE means universal primary education. What is the meaning? Universal primary education refers to the enrollment of all school-age children in primary school, i.e. 100% net enrollment. Universal primary education, UPE, means the enrollment of all school-age children in primary school, that is 100% net enrollment. 100% net enrollment refers to the enrollment of all school-age children in primary school, that is 100% net enrollment. The UPE program was introduced by the military government of Yakubu Gowon, General Yakubu Gowon. The UPE was introduced by the military government of General Yakubu Gowon, but he was removed from the office on July 29th, 1975. He was removed from the office. And General Murtala Muhammad took over the leadership. And on February 15th, 1976, another coup was plotted and General Murtala Muhammad was assassinated and General Olusegun Obasanjo emerged into power. On September 6, 1976, the Universal Primary Education Program for the entire country was launched by General Obasanjo, 1976, September 6 precisely. There was a launching for universal primary education. And that very day, the universal primary education was announced by him that it must be compulsory for all the children under the age bracket of primary education. He announced it that it must be compulsory. And in 1976, as UPE started, a total number of 2.3 million pupils, 2.3 million pupils enrolled for UPE. 2.3 million pupils enrolled for UPE. So this created a serious challenge in the program because there was not enough teachers to teach this large population of pupils. It created a serious challenge. And as a result of this, there was shortage of teachers. And the government have to use the retired teachers and the teacher trainer in the classes. They were called, that is the teachers that are still under training, and the retired teachers, they were called for these emergency services. And they served for 1 good year before they returned back to their training schools. So they taught the pupils for 1 good year before they return back to their training ground. So there were also insufficient classrooms. So lack of qualified teachers was not the only challenge that UPE suffered at that particular time. There was also insufficient classrooms. There was lack of essential teaching equipment and lack of textbooks. All these things were very small. They were inadequate. The program was reviewed, and it revealed that a lot of teachers handling these people were unqualified teachers. So when the program started and ran, there was a review, and it revealed that a lot of teachers handling the pupils were not trained. And if they were not trained, they can never impart knowledge. Anybody can never handle pupils. It's not anybody. It's not anybody that can handle pupils. So it was noticed that UP faced serious challenge of unqualified teachers at that very time. Let's go to the development of primary education in the Second Republic. The development of primary education in the Second Republic of Nigeria. Second Republic was between 1979 to 1983. 1979 to 1983. In 1979, Nigeria gained her Second Republic under the leadership of civilian government. Shehu Shagari, head of state, he was the head of state then. So he changed the view of UPE. Shehu Shagari changed the view of UPE. The view of UPE was to bring free, universal, and compulsory primary education to all people under that age bracket. So he changed the view. As a result, there was differences in the control of UPE in the states all over the federation. So there begin to be differences again. We now move backward. We move backward before we are in the region. Before we march to UPE, now he moved us backward. And there was again differences in the different states over the federation. So we can see in the Ondo, Oyo, Ogun, Lagos, and Bendel states as of that time, all these people were having free education. But in other states, no free education. They started paying school fees because of they couldn't handle it financially. And it caused a challenge also. Teachers' salaries were not paying, they were not hardly paid on time. It was hardly paid on time. In 1985, by the government, by the political leadership of Buhari, Idiago, their regime, the motive of UPE was completely suspended. So it was totally suspended during Buhari Idiago regime. It was totally suspended. It was even cancelled completely. So let's look at the problems faced by UPE as of that time. The problems that UPE face, universal basic education. What are the problems that they were facing? One is poor financial standing. Poor financial standing. Of course, till today, lack of fund has been one of the major challenges that education is facing. There was poor financial standing. There was no enough fund to finance the school that was announced to be free, universal, and compulsory education. Okay, we said that the population of the enrollment was 2.3 million, and the teachers have the government have to borrow retired and the teachers under training to handle these people. Of course, it is money. So there was not enough money for the payment of the teacher's salary. There was not enough money for construction of good classrooms. There was not enough money for adequate textbooks and other infrastructural facilities that are supposed to be in place in these schools. In fact, I learned that most schools are learning under trees, and they were meant to sit at the floor because of no chair, no classroom, no chair. Children were under the tree. The primary education was not really planned adequately before he moved into the program. It was not adequately set up. So poor financial standing as at that time was one of the challenges that faced UPE, and that led to the collapse of UPE. Another problem that UPE faced at that time was overestimation of our potentialities. Overestimation of our potentialities. The government as of that time overestimated our potentialities. How do I mean? They thought that there were enough materials. They thought there were enough materials for this program called UPE. They thought there were enough qualified teachers for this UPE. They thought there was enough textbooks for this program called UPE. There was overestimation of our potentials, thinking that we have more than enough to handle this program called UPE. So the government overestimated. The government overestimated our potentials. Number 3 problems faced by the UPE: lack of accurate data. Lack of accurate data. Till tomorrow, Nigeria is facing serious problem on this accurate data statistics. The census conducted in Nigeria were not the true figure. And it can never be the true figure because we don't have trustful citizens. We don't have truthful, integrity citizens. The census conducted in Nigeria were not the true figure. And this causes problem in determining the number of pupils under the age bracket of primary schools, which will enable the government in the estimation, in estimating the number of teachers to handle the pupils. So there was no accurate data. You can never really say this is the number of children under the bracket of primary school. So it causes problems. So when universal primary education was introduced, the pupils under enrollment rose to 2.3 million, and it causes trouble. Assuming there was an accurate data, they would have made an estimation before introduction of universal primary education. There was no accurate data, and it posed a serious challenge to UPA as of that time. No enough classroom because it was not really estimated, no accurate data, no enough textbook, no enough chair, no enough anything. And another problem, number 4, is political instability. Political instability. Political instability. That is another serious challenges that UPE faced at that time. Little you know, UPE was announced. Before you know it, another person has come over to take the power. Another person has come over to take the power, and all these things has been affecting the program called UBA. Somebody that never have the knowledge of UBA just say, I better suspend this UBA. He did not understand because of what? Continuous changes in the political leadership. Political changes in the political leadership. It causes a serious challenge to UPE. That was why at the end, Buhari Diagbo regime say, let's first suspend this UPE because he did not say any good about it. He was not the one that initiated it. The ones that have initiated it has been moved out of the power. Another one's assassinated. Another one come, and a lot of changes until it was completely suspended. And we now move back to square zero. And the last here is number 5, poor management. Poor management. Our leaders lack proper management of our resources, whether in educational or economical or political. A lot of mismanagement, a lot of wasting. What is going on now? A lot of mismanagement. Share money to the poor people. A lot of management over the little that is in their hands. A lot of mismanagement, poor management of anything, whether in education, whether in economy, whether in politics. Poor management is one of the problems that destroy UPE as of time. So these are the problems that UPE face. No wonder it collapsed. Let's go to the next. Primary education in Nigeria. Primary education in Nigeria between 1985 to date. General I.B. Babangida changed the primary education to concurrent list, and the list that is being shared by the federal and the state. It was directly involved in the control of primary education to be managed by the National Primary Education Commission. National Primary Education Commission, NPEC, National Primary Education Commission, that the one now in charge of primary education, which was set up to cater for primary education in terms of infrastructures, teachers, recruitment, salaries, wages, and allowances. The local government could not handle the payment of teachers as of that time. They couldn't handle it, the payment of teacher salaries and other allowances. Then the control and administration of primary education returned back to the responsibility of federal government. So return back. The government couldn't handle it, return back to the responsibility of federal government. So the federal government is now the one in charge of payment of school salary, infrastructures, and the rest. In Lagos State, till now, there is free school fees, no payment of school fees. No payment of school fees. So there is free school fees with PTA assisting the government, the PTA, Parent Teachers Association, assisting the government. In 1995, General Sani Abacha reactivated MPEB, and each state has its own state primary education. That is why now we have state primary education. And each state has their own state primary education board, and as such, also at the local government. Then presently, the allocation of funds, recruitment of teaching and non-teaching staff of primary schools, innovating of infrastructures, monitoring and supervision of primary education is directly under the National Primary Education Commission. It is under the National Primary Education Commission, EPEC, National Primary Education Commission. The State Primary Education Board, with each local government has their own local office. So hence from the independent up till today, so hence from independent up till today, apart from the short period of between 1916 and 1979, there was never a time that the primary education in Nigeria was totally free. There was no a time. So this is how far we can go because of our time. Next class will be going into the management of primary education in Nigeria. The management of primary education in Nigeria. So that is how far we can go. I've given you paper assignments. Please, if you know you have not submitted your own, try to submit the assignment. Submit the assignment. Submit the assignment to setengos.cecilia@yahoo.com. Submit the assignment. God bless you. Bye. See you next week.